Let's talk football here on the sportshacks.com, and let's talk World Cup football with Kevin Bannon, our resident football expert living in the country that hopes it's going to come home. But after the result against Ghana, we'll have to wait and see on that one, and we will ask Kevin about that in a second. But Kevin Bannon, as always, you're very welcome to Let's Talk Football.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Very good. Tell us, I've prescribed myself as a World Cup-aholic. World Cup-aholic is what I'm saying I am already. Are you in the same vein?
Yes, as we were due to record last week, but unfortunately I came down with something, and it wasn't just World Cup fever. I can guarantee you that it was something. But yeah, look, I've quite enjoyed it. I know we spoke sort of beforehand about these various different concerns off the field, potentially on the field. I think so far, once again, the sort of football has delivered. Now, recently we've seen a few not so great games, but you're always going to get that, particularly with more teams. But overall, despite the various issues that are still prevalent off the pitch, particularly visa-wise, regarding players, Iran, all that is still going on and should still be talked about. But on the pitch, I think it really has delivered. I think we've seen some really good games.
Yeah, and it has sucked us all in, hasn't it? I mean, there's no doubt about that, as you say, once the football began. But I mean, we still have the lunacy. I mean, it was announced this week, surprise, surprise, that Mr. Trump is going to present the trophy to the winner alongside Mr. Infantino. We shouldn't be surprised about that. The hydration breaks, it was interesting. Yeah. It was interesting that Ronnie Whelan was very strongly defending them on RT the other night. But then we see,
very strange.
Yeah, and then we see hydration of a different sort when I went to bed. I couldn't wait 2 hours for the France game to restart.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people would have been on that boat with Noah, and maybe on the Ark as well. But so you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Before the tournament, you gave us 5 names to watch out for. I think you said yourself before we came on air that 60% hit rate. Scouts at top European clubs would take that, by the way. So give us
I'm taking it. Yeah.
Give us a flashback to your famous 5, and which of those 5 are giving you the 60% rate? Which success rate of 60% in 5 would be 3 out of 5, I suspect.
Yeah. 3. I'm being generous to myself there with 3. But look, I think the biggest one, and I think particularly the first game, was Ayoub Biadi in the middle of the park for Morocco. Brazil, I think he was the best player on the pitch against Brazil for either side, particularly that first half where Morocco were excellent, I'd have to say. Now, obviously, the game sort of maybe petered out a small bit in the second half as Brazil got to grips, but I thought he was just magnificent. From starting the attacks from deep in the middle of the park to driving them forward to his defensive work, cutting out passing lanes, receiving the ball under pressure. It's exactly the type of performance you want from your number 6 in the middle of the park. And for someone so young, so composed, pressure didn't faze him. I know we spoke about beforehand, and it's been a topic. It's not the strongest Brazilian midfield, I don't think, but it doesn't really matter for as far as he's concerned, because he was magnificent. Against Scotland, he was a bit quieter, but it was a different sort of game as well with that early goal. I know Scotland obviously came into it in the second half, probably should have had a penalty, but I thought he was perfectly capable of what he wanted to do. And overall, for me, I think he's been one of the standout players in this tournament. I think he's been magnificent.
You can see, I mean, we know that Moroccan team that started against Brazil were all players born outside Morocco, which is quite incredible. Yeah. But you can see why they chased him so hard. I mean, this is a former France underage international. Yeah. Well, you could see that night, this is exactly why they wanted him.
Yeah, his 3rd international cap, I think, as well. Like, I think he'd played 2 friendlies beforehand. He'd only sort of declared in March, I think it was. And yeah, and it's not as if they hadn't tried before. You know, they were at him. And you look at that French midfield, and you think, oh, maybe we could do with him in there as well. But yeah, he's highly sought after by the Moroccan FA, and he'll be highly sought after in the club game as well. Like, do you give him another season at Lille? Or if he continues to improve and show what he's capable of, is it the classic perform well at a big tournament and get a big move? Who knows? If you're him, you could stay another season, I suppose, in Ligue 1 and, just keep doing what you're doing. But if those offers come in, you'd be tempted, wouldn't you? Because he clearly belongs at the highest level.
One of your other success stories, Manzambi of Switzerland.
Well, this is the one I wasn't too sure about because he hasn't started either game. He hasn't started either game for Switzerland, and he came off the bench against Qatar in the first game, which obviously Switzerland drew, which was a really poor result for them, really poor performance. I've actually not been impressed by this Swiss team too much, and he was quite poor off the bench against Qatar, I must say. And I think Xhaka maybe sort of called him out afterwards as well. But I mean, the second game against Bosnia, and this is where I'm taking I'm being generous to myself. Off the bench, scoring 2, just changed the game for Switzerland completely, absolutely. Because before that, they'd been under pressure from Bosnia, and it was Bosnia who had the better chances and had the impetus and the go ahead in the game, but I thought when he came on, he was brilliant. Took his 2 goals fantastically well. Really, really top finishes. The first volley was like brilliant technique, catches it wonderfully, and then the second finish is just a lovely, delightful, smooth finish into the corner. And I was raging that Xhaka didn't give him the penalty for the hat-trick. I must say, absolutely fuming. And I think if Switzerland want to improve, because like I said, I think they've been fairly stagnant and stale so far. I think you need him in your starting 11 because he just provides that spark, that creativity, that, like I said, with Buadi, that drive forward, always looking to get on it. And we often see with young players, doesn't really care about making a mistake. You know, he'll just get on with it, let it brush off him and continue. And hopefully now that he has proven that he can deliver, that Yakin actually trusts him from the start.
Your other 3 then, tell us who's the third success story?
So I'm going to go with Yan Diomande. And the reason for this is because Ivory Coast have scored 2 goals, and he's been involved in both of them. He got the assist for Ahmad, and then was involved in the Kessié goal against Germany as well. I thought he was excellent against Ecuador. I thought he was really, really good. Started from the right, then moved to the left. I thought he absolutely gave Hincapié, who's one of the top defenders in Europe with Arsenal, an absolute roasting against Ecuador. Turns out maybe that Ecuador side isn't as good as we may have thought it is coming into the tournament. But against Germany, it was more of a mixed bag. Early on, I think he was a bit nervous, or just wasn't quite in the game. A few heavy touches, giving the ball away. But every now and then you see that explosive pace. You see that ability to just drive past the player. And I think for him as well, being able to play from the left and from the right is massive. Also, I don't know if you saw his Players Tribune article that he wrote during the tournament, where he talks about the death of his sister recently. is fairly powerful, fairly moving, and gives you a bit more background into what he's like as a person. I'd recommend anyone to give that a read. Fairly moving stuff, you'd have to say. But again, I think he's shown real flashes. The Germany game, I don't know if it would worry you because it was more up and down, but I think the fact that he showed he can still show those moments is really good. And I mean, you're looking now, you see the news headlines, Liverpool are 120 million euros or something. Liverpool have been quoted for him from RB Leipzig. So, I mean, he still might make that move, and he still might have a good game against Curacao. There's no way that goalkeeper can make 15 saves again in a game. So we'll see. And I thought Ivory Coast were really unlucky in that game. I thought they played really well, but just Germany do what Germany do sometimes and get the winner.
Germany will always do what Germany do. Vuskovic from Croatia, he's in the transfer news already. The game hadn't even started. The ball hadn't even been kicked.
Yeah, Brighton bid for him, didn't they? And I think Spurs have rejected it, but I wonder if they'll come in again.
I think Brighton were listening to you, Kevin.
Yes, my connections on the South Coast. Imagine, if only. I don't think Brighton would be where they are now if they listened to me. Let's put it that way. But yeah, Vuskovic, a bit more of a mixed bag. He was okay against England. I thought initially he was at fault for the Kane second goal, the header. But if you look, there's a bit of wily old John Stones experience in there when it comes to using his body well, shall we say. And then he didn't start the game against Panama, which Croatia kept a clean sheet. So, look,
He's very young, though. He is still a young defender.
He is very young. He's very young. He's inexperienced. And Croatia are a bit of a strange team where you have the older fellas like your Modric, your Perisic, Pasalic, Kovacic in there, but then you have Gvardiol, Baturina, Vuskovic. It's a very, very strange mix. And look, he is very young. It'll be interesting to see if he plays against Ghana, because that's essentially a shootout now for second spot. To see who takes that, unless England have another really poor performance, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But so it'll be interesting to see if he plays that. I think it'll be a different sort of game to the Panama and England games, because England, I'd imagine he started because you're sort of looking for that defensive solidity. You're playing three at the back, whereas Panama, you can be a bit more open. Now, having said that, Panama did create a few chances, hit the crossbar as well. But yeah, a bit more of a mixed bag for Vuskovic. Again, capability and potential is there, maybe just hasn't quite lived up to its fullest so far.
I'm going to lean on your pronouncer expertise as a commentator. Your Bosnian player, I'm going to call him, because I'm having a mare at this World Cup for pronunciations.
Yeah, Alaa Begovic. Look, this one hasn't really worked out. He came off the bench in the first game against Canada, hadn't really an impact. He started against Switzerland, and yeah, look, he just hasn't been great. Again, Bosnia are one of those teams who I don't think have really played that well in either game. They have a very, very defined system, and they're sitting in and trying to hit on the break, but when they hit on the break, it's not really working.
And they're getting caught.
And they're getting caught. And again, I thought they were a bit unlucky against Switzerland, if I'm being totally honest. They were on top, and then our favourite hydration break, sponsored by Powerade, came in for the fourth quarter, and the game was turned on its head, Manzambi inspired. But yeah, it just hasn't really worked out. He hasn't really had the chance or the opportunity to show what he's capable of. Again, little touches here and there, but not really consistent enough. Again, Bosnia have Qatar, so we'll see. Maybe he can show what he's capable of.
In terms of the 5 to watch, I'm going to give you the opportunity here to bench him, so you can bench him.
Yes.
Who would you replace him with based on what you've seen so far?
So what I've seen so far, and I'm glad you've given me this substitution available, is
we're at the end of the first quarter, so it's a hydration break.
Yeah, so. Exactly. The hydration break is very ready to come in. It's let me grab his name. It's the Ivory Coast centre midfielder. I think he's been excellent. Middle of the park, playing his football in Turkey. Christ Anui. He's in there with Sangare and Kessié, who are two sort of experienced old dogs of war in there who can, go around with real physical and break things up. He's been excellent. 20 years of old, playing with Trabzonspor in Turkey, in a sort of Buadi mould. He's the one who's getting on the ball deep and trying to set the play. And like I said, I've been quite impressed with Ivory Coast so far. I think they've been really good in both the games, two of the hardest games in their group against Ecuador and Germany. And he's been really good. And Emirates Faye, the Ivory Coast manager, has played him in a few different roles. So when he changes things up mid-game, he pushes them forward or he drops them back, and he's looked comfortable in both. And like I said, this Ivory Coast, bit of youth with Ahmad Diomande, you've Cotonou at the back. I've been really impressed with them, and I think whoever they get, they can cause issues for in the next round if they qualify and go ahead and beat Curacao like we're sort of expecting. But he's been really, really good for me, really good.
If we had a time machine, we could roll back the years for Pico Lopez and for Vizinha, the goalkeeper,
yes.
And even for Borgas, who's been playing alongside Pico. But if he was 20 years younger, what a career at the very highest levels. And I don't mean any disrespect to the League of Ireland or the Shamrock Rovers, and he's doing a brilliant job flying the flag. But what's the reaction to Cape Verde being in England, Kevin? Are they talking? Yeah. Are they impressed?
Well, first of all, I know you would never disrespect Shamrock Rovers as a footballer. I know that anyway.
Hold me now.
I think I'm actually maybe wearing my Shamrock Rovers shirt. Anyway, we won't reveal
we won't
that
go there, thanks.
Yeah, look, I think the reaction in the UK has been surprise, but like good surprise. They've been magnificent, Cape Verde. They've been absolutely, and two sort of varying performance as well. The Spain one, obviously you're watching it and you're thinking, right, can they hold on? Can they hold on? Here comes Yamal, here comes Williams off the bench. Can they still do it? And look, Pico made that incredible block right at the very end from Orzabal, I think it was, when the ball came in from Yamal.
It was, yeah.
And so the reaction is there as well. This is one of the great World Cup shocks. And, Spain, of course, naturally the talk is like, oh, Spain, some of the worries coming up. But then the game against Uruguay is one of the games of the tournament. It was absolutely fantastic from both sets of players. I mean, the first goal, he's basically taking it from Cape Verde, the free kick. And look, you question the goalkeeper in the wall maybe, but then obviously you can see
the first goal. Sorry to cut across you, but the first goal, it's like something you see in Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
it was like just what?
Yeah, how? Because when he said it, I was like, I think he might have a pop from here. Because I don't know if you remember or if you're aware, they didn't qualify for the last AFCON, but the AFCON before that, I feel like they scored about 3 goals from about
of that range.
From way out. So they're not afraid to have a goal from here. And it went in. But then to go behind in the manner that they did,
naively,
right before half time, like 2 goals in 2 minutes, right before half time. But then to bounce back and get the goal. And again, look, it's poor from Uruguay, who, I mean, that's a whole podcast itself. That this Uruguay thing, it's insane how they found themselves in this situation. But to bounce back and like they could have won it. Like that, the end of that game, neither side were like, "Oh, we'll take the draw and we'll go." Like both sides were going to win it, and you have to say they've an incredible chance. Like we saw the limitations of this Saudi side against Spain, Cape Verde and Spain, obviously, and Saudi might pose a bit more of a threat as they did in parts against Uruguay, but it's 100% there for them. Like they're on 2 points after 2 games, which are their hardest games.
And they would have targeted Saudi Arabia as, get a win there, and a win might be enough to get you through. We have to find out if that's the case.
And in terms of Pico himself, I mean, obviously, I know you yourself are working close with him throughout this. He's been absolutely magnificent. He has been magnificent. There was a moment in the Spain game where I think, and this is maybe poor for me, he stepped out and he played a pass into midfield that he gave away, and I was thinking, oh Christ, here we go, because it's only in the first half. But honestly, other than that, I really don't know. He's been magnificent, and he absolutely cleaned out Darwin Núñez in that Uruguay game late on as well, and was involved. Was it Canobio who got through right at the very end and just about did enough to lean into him to cause him the shot. I think he's been magnificent, and just we've seen it with Rovers both domestically and Europe over the past 4 years, 5 years particularly, when they've been on this run, and it's just brilliant to see he's taken it to this level. I've been so impressed,
and it's so good for the League of Ireland as well, and for Ireland, because the interest in him has been unbelievable.
I will say I don't need to hear the words message on LinkedIn again. I don't. Yeah, but we've had enough.
But you might, Kevin. There might well be an occasion to hear the words again. In terms of England, then, and I said to you, if they do win it, you'll be the one coming home, as well as England and football coming home. I'm suffering from World Cup FOMO this morning. I have to admit, I watched them last night, and I am so annoyed, angered, frustrated, disappointed, upset that England fans are talking about how bad the performance was against Ghana at the World Cup final. Scottish fans are playing bagpipes up and down South Beach in Miami. Norwegian fans are doing rock the boat in Times Square in New York. And we're sitting at home looking at it, having been 2-0 up in Prague. We said we wouldn't talk about that this early in the tournament, but I'm really feeling left out.
Particularly if you've watched the Czechs so far this tournament as well. And you watched that group, which may be the weakest group.
Yeah.
Look, it's a lovely summer's day. We have nice weather. Let's not get sad about this. Yeah, it's not great. Like that is lurking in the back of your mind when you watch some of these teams as well.
I'd love to be moaning about Ghana. Really, I would absolutely be delighted.
Imagine if we got a nil all draw against Ghana.
We wouldn't be moaning. Unbelievable. We wouldn't be moaning.
No. Yeah, look, England, they weren't great last night. I think as an England fan, it's the type of performance you sort of worried that they still have in them. Stodgy, slow, tepid. Don't really create anything.
They were cumbersome at times.
Yeah. That don't really create anything until the last 5-10 minutes when Ghana are tired. Now, I have to before we get on to England, Carlos Queiroz, absolute masterclass from him. Like this is the perfect Carlos Queiroz international performance. Like Ghana were brilliant in defense. Like so organized, bodies on the line, never giving up, just missing that extra bit of quality on the break. Like you maybe need Semenyo to just show a bit more when the ball came up to him, and they could have sneaked. And now look, the penalty is just how it's not even checked in the second half. The Consa one is beyond me. It's a blatant penalty. He dives in, he's hip height, he's nowhere near the ball.
And VAR hasn't been as intrusive, has it, at this tournament? I mean,
no, but he's onside as well. Like I know the flag went up, but that was for the rebound for Semenyo. Like I don't know why it's such a blatant penalty. So England are lucky in that regard. So in terms of England,
go back to Queiroz for a second. Like he's only in the door.
Yeah, literally only in the door. They only hired him after they qualified him. No, it was just before they qualified. I think
he only
had 5 or 6 games.
There was a row, as always.
Yeah. But look, if you're going to get someone in, and like we've seen Hervé Renard drafted in mid-tournament, these are the type of lads you come in when you break glass in case of emergency. And he has his team set up well, 4 points from 2 games. They're basically through, and that's why they're like, oh, why aren't Ghana going to, like, a draw does them in this game? 100%. They go into this Croatia game, nothing really to lose. I mean, 4 points they have a 97% chance or something, regardless of where they finish.
And they're the only team at the World Cup with a former Cove Ramblers manager on their coaching staff. We'll come back to that another day. What of England then? I mean, are they throwing bottles out of the pubs yet? Or
no, I don't think. I think the reaction is like annoyance, because I think the Croatia performance was. The reaction to the Croatia performance was, as you may have imagined, slightly over the top. They were very, very good against Croatia in that 20 minutes, half an hour after halftime. They were excellent, you have to say. And it could have been more. It could have been 5 or 6, easily. The first half against Croatia, bit more stodgy, bit more defensive. 2 poor goals conceded, you'd have to say, from their perspective. And I wouldn't say they're down to earth here, because I still think on another day they win that game. I was still fully expecting them to win that game.
I thought they'd sneak it. I thought they'd get something at the end.
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, Harry Kane buries that chance after it comes off the bar. Like, he never misses that type of opportunity, and he just blazes it over. But concerns are, I don't think Gordon and Madueke have been great. I thought Bellingham wasn't as influential as he can be in the middle of the park. I thought Rice was really poor.
And maybe struggling with an injury, judging by reports.
Yes, well, that was the concern coming in as well. He's played 60-odd games or something this year, which is absolutely ludicrous. Guéhi and Konsa, they didn't have a lot to do, but do you fully trust them? I don't know, particularly. Like, on the counter-attack, England played as if they were very scared of that Ghana counter-attack. And the thinking was, when Tuchel was hired, that we're not quite shackles off, but he's clever enough of a tactician. He's more tactically astute than Southgate, that he wouldn't be as conservative.
And he said that at half-time against Croatia, apparently, in the dressing room. We go out our way.
Yeah, which is fair enough, and you got to respect it. And even Anthony Barry's halftime interview, which, by the way, That's maybe another separate issue. But Anthony Barry giving these halftime interviews are very entertaining. Maybe not in the way he wants it, but I thought what he said at halftime against Ghana was fairly accurate. He was like, "Look, we'll try create stuff. We have to be patient. They're in a low block. They're sitting deeper than they have really done in all their other games that we've watched. But we adapt. We'll be patient. We'll use set plays." And you're thinking, yeah, that's fair enough because that's what you got to do. But their set pieces were poor. The delivery from the corners and the free kicks wasn't good enough. Like, Rice is just hanging these balls in there. No real pace on them. And the Ghana defenders, Opoku and Ajede, I think, at the back, were just lapping it up. Absolutely lapping it up.
They were saying, thank you very much.
Yeah. And again, it's a very classic England conversation when they do this, which it feels like it's the second group game of every single tournament now, where you're like, right, who is the man to unlock this? Where's Adam Wharton? Where's Cole Palmer? Where's Trent Alexander-Arnold to pick that pass? Long term, I don't know how concerning it is long term. I fully expect England to go deep in this tournament, regardless of this performance. But it's definitely a blueprint to play them, because I think if you're not a France, a Spain, potentially an Argentina, I think if you go toe to toe with them, you might get picked apart like Croatia did in that second half. But if you're not at that level, I think this is a blueprint from Ghana. And I don't know if England have the capabilities. Now, sometimes if Saka comes back fit, he might be able to produce a bit of something. We saw him forcing the save from the keeper when he first came on. But overall, I wouldn't be really, really concerned. But there are I don't think if you take the two games as a whole, there are definitely issues that Tuchel needs to address.
I worry about Pickford and another podcast.
Yes,
with Rob Shepherd. I had this conversation and he was defending him, but I made the point that I don't trust him. If I was an England fan, I wouldn't trust him. What was interesting was during the elongated halftime break in the France game, before I eventually gave up and went to bed, I was flicking between RTE and BBC, and on BBC, Joe Hart made the point that this ball is not helping goalkeepers. Yeah. Apparently up to like about shoulder height, it's fine. But when it goes above shoulder height, there's no spin on it and the keepers are struggling. It's coming straight at them. So I give Pickford a little bit of grace on that. But his decision making outside the box last night, I mean, had that collision...
Was he lucky to get away with that?
I'm just going to say that had that collision been a slightly different complexion, he may have got a red card for that.
Yeah. You see, the thing is with Pickford, I would tend to agree that you don't fully trust him, and yet he's never really made a massive mistake in a tournament for England. Like, he's been quite solid for England, and he's obviously come through in some penalty shootouts as well. But you are always waiting for it. Like, there are moments where you're like, ooh, Jesus, Jordan, like, just calm heads here. Calm heads, relax, take a minute. I think the decision-making when he's rushing out is possibly one of the weaker aspects of his game. I think you said like he's a bit rash sometimes and he comes out all guns blazing when sometimes he just needs to stay put. But he hasn't made a mistake yet for England in a big mistake. When he gets
sent off, I'm going to send you a WhatsApp.
Please do.
So I wouldn't be booking the flight home with Ryanair or Aer Lingus just yet.
No,
I think you're safe enough on that for the moment. Just before we go, then the Golden Boot, Messi, 39 years of age on Wednesday. Where does this story end?
Like it's incredible. It's incredible. Like, is he still the best player in the world? Like, he could be. He honestly could be. The funniest thing with Messi is how bad he is at penalties as well. Like, he's an awful record. He joined the record the evening he broke the record for the World Cup scoring. He bypassed Klose. He equaled the record for missed penalties in the World Cup with 3. Like, it's horrendous. But my God, like, it's incredible how well he's playing. And you do wonder, like, why did he go to Miami at his age? He's 39, and he's still the lad. His second goal, he's the one leading the counter attack. The pass to Alvarez is perfect,
exceptional.
And I don't know if you've seen it again. The pass back to him from Paredes takes a deflection, and he kills it with the outside. I've seen it in slow motion. It's an unbelievable first touch. But I'm glad he broke the record with the goal he broke it with rather than the penalty, because the goal he broke it with is the perfect Messi finish. Ball fizzed into him, and we saw it for his hat-trick against Algeria, where it's like he's passing it into the corner, but he also whips it with real pace. And
I remember
I've seen...
I remember years ago, Kevin, a friend of mine played against Mick Lawler in the United Churches League at a time when Mick was about 50-odd years of age. And John Kelly it was, you and I both know well. And John was making the point that Mick just stood there. The ball came to him and he just hit killer passes in the United Churches League at 50-something years of age. Messi, I don't know if you've seen that clip on social media, I think it was the Algeria game, where he's just standing, watching what's going on around him. And then when the time is right, he makes a 5-yard run and next thing, bang.
Yeah. And that's all he needs to do, because Scaloni, I think, deserves credit for the way this team is set up, because you have all the runners that are around him. And Messi is so intelligent and knows where to be at all times that, as you said, all he needs is a 5-yard, 10-yard burst in the right moments. I mean, he scored 5 goals in 2 games. He scored all of Argentina's goals. Like, it's incredible what he's doing. And in terms of the Golden Boot, look, as soon as he scored the hat-trick and Mbappe scored the 2 against Senegal, you're like, right, Miroslav, we enjoyed your record when it stood, but it will
go. Now. See ya.
Thank you for your service, Miroslav. You've been a great international player. You haven't done anything at club level, but for Germany, you've been magnificent. And Mbappe as well. Mbappe, Haaland, and Messi.
They tell me Mbappe. They tell me Mbappe scored in the second half of the game the other night, but
he did.
I was fast asleep.
Iraq conceded the exact same goal they did against Haaland, where the keeper they're trying to play out from the back, and
Haaland isn't doing too bad either.
I mean, Haaland, like this Norway side, I do wonder how far he can take them. They have some good players. They're not elite level. They're a bit at the back. I don't know. But when he's in this form, I'm really interested to see this France-Norway game now coming up. Really interested. Because France, to me, have been the best side, have reached the highest level, I think, of any of the sides in the tournament. Elise and Mbappe, from the second half onwards against Senegal, have been really, really top. I think one of the unsung heroes, and, you know, people give out about him, Rabiot, I think, has been excellent. He's a real Deschamps soldier in there. He is like the Didier Deschamps of this team. I think he's been really good, and he's not flashy. He doesn't really catch the eye, but he's exactly what they need in that middle of the park. And then you've Dembele and Doué, Barcola and Cherki, and it's like, I know I picked Spain before the tournament began, but I do think France.
So we're giving you free throws here all day, Kevin. Work away.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? France, to me, so far now. Look,
they are the best team so far.
I think so. Considering because I think that Senegal team is good, even though they've lost 2 games. I still think they're good. Iraq, again, who have lost 2 games. I have actually been relatively impressed with Iraq. They've got a horrible draw, but I think they've competed up to a certain point and then they've just sort of faded away, which you'd expect. Like I said, this France-Norway game, can Haaland deliver? I mean, he's been magnificent so far. He's exactly what you would have wanted. If Odegaard can maybe put a few chances into the back of the net that are presented to them, but this Golden Boot race, Kane is on I think some 19 players or something around 2 goals. Maybe that's 2.
It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
And now Ronaldo has joined the party as well.
Well, let's close on Ronaldo. I would have sent him home after the first game, and then last night he got his goal and he got a celebration, and the photograph went all around the world. And brand Ronaldo strikes again, when he should have been suspended, by the way.
For what? Right. Start with the good stuff. 2 very good finishes, you'd have to say. First one in particular, really good finish. Exactly where you want him to be. Like we were saying with Messi, knows where to be, knows where the ball is coming in, and delivers. Really good. I think Uzbekistan are one of the worst teams in this tournament. Did very well to qualify. Have Kusanov, have Shamuradov up front, not much else. Very exposed and open at the back. And you saw Ronaldo when he came up against his side in the first game where DR Congo did not give him an inch, were physical, didn't give him any space in the box, defended with 5, no room for him to find those spaces, and even when he did, couldn't finish. And they were very well organised.
The DC Congo fan who stands in the stand, he got more room than Ronaldo on the night.
Yeah, literally, Lumumba. He was there last night, I believe, against Colombia. But I still think it's an issue for Portugal. I know they won 5-0. Shackles are off. Look at us. Ronaldo's back. I still think it's an issue against the better sides. I really do. I still think there's room for him in this team in terms of last 20 minutes you're looking for a goal. He's annoyed that he's pissed off that he's been on the bench. But Martinez isn't going to do it. He's never going to do it. As you mentioned sort of before we start recording, there's word of him going to Al Nassr. Yeah.
Let's get the conspiracy theory out there. He's quit. He's quit Portugal at the end of the tournament. He's supposed to be going to Saudi Arabia. He's probably going to. What's Ronaldo going to play another 2 years at least in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Do you want to piss off
annoy him?
Your biggest player before you go there for 2 years?
Yeah, I still think it is an issue. And you look at this Portugal team again; it's really, really good. And yeah, I think it'll happen again where it'll be a fairly insipid display. They can't create anything, and they'll just get knocked out, either on penalties or extra time or 1-0. I just think, it's going to happen, and that. There's no point in hiding it. At least Fernando Santos in the last World Cup could drop him because he's thinking, well, Cristiano, I've won a Euros. I can do this. And Ramos is on the bench. Ramos scored the hat-trick. It worked there. It maybe didn't work. And I think the fact that if Gonzalo Ramos had actually played football in 2 years instead of just coming off the bench,
it would be a different story.
Yeah. But it's still an issue for Portugal. And it's just been put off for a bit as far as I'm concerned.
Kevin Bannon, enjoy another week of World Cup fever in this heat wave in England. We won't book you the flight home just yet. But as I say, I am suffering seriously from World Cup fear of missing out. And hopefully by next week when we chat again, I might have got over it. And somebody will have lifted me out of this depression. But Pico Lopez might be the man. He's done it so far, and we wish him very well.
Pico versus Messi in the round of 32.
In the round of 32. What a prospect! Pico, by the way, has the age advantage, which is quite
exactly
which is quite incredible. As always, Kevin Bannon, thank you for joining us.
Cheers.